Okay, folks, I have my zero sugar Dr. Pepper here, so obviously I'm living in the lap of luxury. Um, so today I want to talk for a brief moment about my conception of mental health as it currently exists. So I think there's a bit of an error that a lot of people make, at least in North America, when they're thinking about their mental health, which is to think in terms of like momentary and persistent mood states. So if you mentally or even literally and physically collate a certain number of your mood states across the past 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, excuse me, you might assume you're doing better or worse on the basis of how you would rate your subjective state, how you would evaluate how you feel. But the trouble with that is it ignores like the soul level happiness, the deep inner happiness that comes from actualizing moral values regardless of what your momentary mood state is. So I believe it is possible to be joyful or purposeful on the soul level regardless of how much you suffer superficially or in the moment. I think you can endure years of misery, years of despair, depression, anguish, hopelessness, etc., while still having a more worthwhile life than somebody else who's really happy, joyful, jubilant, energetic, etc., as long as you're achieving worthy moral missions. So if someone were to ask me right now, to stand on one foot and identify the central facets of mental health, I would say they involve number one, a well-protected time preference or time horizon, and number two, it's a proximity to a clean conscience or a sense that you have properly accounted for the good and bad you've done, and you've increasingly gone in the direction of doing good and decreasingly succumbed to doing various sorts of cost-imposing things. And then, not sure what else, maybe it has to do with relational fit or how well you fit in with people with whom you sustain voluntary relationships or something. I don't know. I haven't thought super deeply about this, but yeah, I think something that prompted me to reflexively rebel against the completion of a cheap Udemy course on becoming a habit coach, which is like maybe a compartmentalized version of a life coach, is that it seemed as though there was all this systemizing and organizing and note-taking that was involved in the process of guiding someone to master new habits, but none of that really kept in mind, like, what does that person want said about them at their funerals one day, So it seems like this was not really beginning with the end of life in mind. It seemed like it was just really lucidly defining the present and maybe the medium-term future that a person wants without establishing their ultimate place in some kind of grand moral narrative or story or something. So I was turned off of it, even though I will finish the course. In theory, or on an individual level, therapy is about replenishing, protecting, and enhancing your mental health. But in practice, on a population-wide level, what it might tend to do, alongside numerous other things, is emasculate men until they can no longer make history, at least with respect to becoming the best people who exist in their own bloodlines. I'm not someone who says that with like pride in my voice. I actually feel fear as I ponder that might be a possibility. But yeah, ask yourself, when is the last time you made like a 50-year plan and protected the vision you have for your future and your loved ones' futures and so on at any expense? If you tend to just like, I want to make it through the day or I want to make it through the month, then you have no earthly clue what your potential is in terms of your ability to meaningfully shape the future you want, at least within your tiny little locus of impact.